Eau Claire.
Eau Claire. So both boys followed you into racing, though?
Yeah, Kent ran out of money. Just like that's why I quit. It got too expensive.
It's very
Then I had my
expensive.
5th kid. There was enough time racing for me.
Yeah.
Time to be a family father.
Yeah, absolutely.
As soon as he
Absolutely.
gives us a thumbs up, I'm just going to do a quick introduction,
Sure.
and then we're going to just, and I'd like to lead off with a,
You ask a couple
start from the
questions
beginning,
tonight.
okay? So how the heck did you get started with this, and then we'll go
Yeah.
from there, okay?
Sounds good.
Tell me when you're ready.
Cameras are on, so whenever you're on.
You ready to go? Hi, I'm Jim Dittman with Local Labor, the magazine, and we're here today with Peggy Erdman from the Beaver Dam Raceway. Is that what we're calling
No,
it?
Dodge County Speedway Association at Fairgrounds.
And we're here with legendary Fuzzy Fassbender,
Howdy.
modified car driver
Yeah.
from back in the days when
1982 I quit.
you quit.
Yeah.
I know the guys who weren't even born then yet.
Yeah.
So how did you get started in racing?
Well, I just was interested in doing things I was supposed to do on the road.
Uh-huh.
And the Slinger Speedway opened up I was running midgets several years. In 1949, the crowds were waning, so they decided to run stock cars. That became an interest of the fans, and it gave me a chance to get an old junk car out of a junkyard and go out and follow the rest of them around.
So, perfect. So when you decided to get a car, you just built a car.
Those days, you just took one out of a junkyard and ran.
That was it?
Put roll bars in it, and
Off you went.
off it went. That was in the beginning. From then on, it just got to be like it still is a cheater's game. The more money you could spend and not get caught, the better it was. The better
I didn't know we were going to get into politics of this whole thing.
boy.
That's good. That's perfect. So the first race, that was where then? In Cedarburg, you said?
Slinger Speedway.
Slinger Speedway. So where's home for you?
Right now, we're up at Big Flats, which is about 25 miles south of Wisconsin Rapids. I was in Slinger in Hartford for years.
That was where your home was.
That was my home was. Yeah, that's where I became known as a Slinger and Hartford Rubicon race car driver.
Okay.
But now that I retired, we retired on the road for 12 years with a fifth wheel camper and a pickup truck. We ran for 12 years just running the countryside.
Uh-huh.
And then as I was getting older, we decided to buy a house in case I had to stay in the States, to stay up north for the winter. And we bought this house up here. That's, 5 years ago, Judy?
She walked away.
Oh.
She's not been here right now.
I think it was our 70th, I think it was our 70th wedding anniversary.
Oh my
40th
goodness.
40th wedding anniversary, 48. It was 8 years ago we bought that house, yeah. And I don't follow racing much. It got pretty expensive to go, and the racing up there, I don't know anyone, and here is just too far away to drive. I don't like to drive at night anymore, getting to the point where night driving doesn't work so well for senior citizens.
Yeah, I don't enjoy that much myself. So back to that first car. You go to the junkyard and you find something. So was it modifieds then?
No, it's just strictly stock. We didn't even cut the fenders then yet. Had the fenders then we cut the fenders open so we didn't wreck the tires all the time. And it just kept expanding from there. Then finally we put bigger motors in, put Mercury motors in Fords and bigger Chrysler motors in Dodges and Plymouths.
Yeah.
And that's how it just evolved.
It
Just evolved. One thing after the other. Every year something different.
Uh-huh.
Finally we got to where we had to make a rule where you had to use a car frame anyway. You had to use this body. It had to appear to be the car that it was.
Uh-huh.
That if you had a 49 Ford, it looked like a 49 Ford.
Okay.
And I think about 1979, something like that, they went to the kind of a race car body, and that was when I couldn't afford it anymore.
Okay.
I went from being in the top 3 in times to bottom 3 in qualifying with my car. Just got more and more antiquated. So finally I said, that's enough. I can't afford to keep up. And I had 5 children. It was time to stay home with the kids.
Well, that's the other thing that as I was doing a little bit, when I was first, offered the opportunity to meet you, and I did a little bit of background, called a couple of people here in town, and I said, hey, do you know this guy? And I spoke with Wade Fletcher for a little bit, and he started going on, and pretty soon I had to say, I got to go, Wade. But sounds like good friends for a long time.
Oh, yeah, great friend.
And his brother Timmy
Yeah.
as well. But he was giving me a little bit of the background, on the car styles, the body styles, and how those things evolved, and even some of the local people who helped build cars for you.
Yeah.
Was it Wally?
Wally Seiler, he passed away now, but yeah, He built the first car that I drove in the more or less modified section that really was well built and well powered.
And that was the Mustang?
That was a 34 Ford Coach, a two-door sedan at that time.
What, he made you a Mustang also?
The Mustang was, when it first came out, about 74.
I think the Mustang, first year for the Mustang was 64, I think.
64. And then the Corvair came out around the same time.
Yeah.
He used a Corvair body on one.
That's the one that Wade mentioned. He said that was like one of the fan favorites.
That was
I love hearing those. I could sit here all
the
day.
body man down here.
Falvey.
Harry Falvey built bodies for us.
Yeah, and I saw on a couple of the photos that John Surgis from the vintage modified stock car newsletter sent me a couple photos, and I saw that Falvey was listed as one of the sponsors, and L&W Music.
Yeah. And Falvey's son was helping Lance quite a bit.
And he's still here today. He raced with us last week, the third generation.
He had an accident in the garage
Yeah, he did.
And Lance, my son Lance, was running sprint car. He ran near Nevada at the super stocks at one time, but he got more race-minded and could afford it. He got a good job, got a good sponsorship, so he got into the more powerful and speedier racing, and he ran well too. Made the old man look kind of foolish for a while.
That's all fun.
But that's good. That's good.
He does that to me on the golf course a lot.
That's what racing is all about.
Back to Slinger, that first car. That was quarter mile flat
It was a
track.
quarter-mile flat track. Actually, a little shorter quarter-mile. That track they built in between two hills, and they couldn't quite get a whole quarter-mile out of it.
How short was it? Just a little.
It was probably, I don't know, it was just a little shorter of a quarter-mile. Then they stretched it out to a third. But then they bulldozed a lot of the hills away. When they built that track, racing was just getting started back in, I don't know, it's been probably 47, 48, something like that. And racing was just getting back in after the war. And Hayter and Johnson decided to build a track in this field. And they had a hill on both sides, so they had a natural amphitheater. They just built a track in there that fit in there, and then they expanded it and paved it. And here we are today. And it was a 37 Ford Coach that I had. We were in a 37 Ford right out of the junkyard. And they called me one lap Fassbender those days because something would happen every lap of qualifying. I'd make one lap and then something would happen. That'd be considered one lap Fassbender.
Something would happen, like someone would break down and you'd have to pull up.
Yeah.
How'd you get the name the Hound?
Well, then I got a wiener dog I was in a filling station. The guy left the wiener dog off by me. And I used him as a
Mascot or
mascot. And the announcer at Hills Corners was always looking for some way to get a guy's name with something. He used to call me a purple hound at one time because somebody made him a purple coat. As a champion, with number one on when I was a championship, somebody made the grandstand gave me a purple coat for the dog.
Okay.
Then it was the Purple Duke. His name was Duke, and then it was the Purple Duke, and then we finally ended up with this Fuzzy the Hound, and that stuck with me. And it stuck with me since about, I don't know, it had been
Like forever.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So that would have started like when? What time? Like in the 50s?
Probably about 59 or 60 that people let that dog out, and it became Fuzzy the Hound.
So they just dropped it off as it was just a...
It was an older dog, and he didn't want him anymore.
Needed
And
some place to
I
stay?
like dogs, and didn't have one, so I took him over. He got to be an old grouch, so. But that's I guess part of wiener dogs. As they get older, they get independent.
Yeah.
Don't we all?
Don't we all? Don't we all? Don't we all? You mentioned purple. That became that's your color.
Wally Seiler was building cars for me. And he was buying his car from Billy Johnson, and they were red and white.
Where's Billy Johnson from? Was he from Beaverdam?
Slinger.
Slinger.
And he passed away too. And he used that same red and white car, and then I got it. Wally didn't have any problem. He didn't run that well. When I got in, I ran right with Billy, and the scorers said, "We can't tell one car from the other, red and white car. They get to paint a different color." So I told Wally, "Take the darn thing home and paint it purple or something." And that was just when Chrysler came out with that Plum Crazy. So he painted it Plum Crazy, and everything I had since then has been purple. My garbage truck, I had a garbage business. I had 4 garbage trucks that I painted purple.
The heck.
And all my race cars were purple. It just got to be the purple hound.
So the rubbish business was where you lived in Rubicon?
Yeah, Rubicon, yeah. Yeah, I sold it to out in Advance in Watertown. I don't know where it went now.
Oh, I know those guys. Yeah, the Loeb family would have,
Yeah,
they were
yeah,
from Watertown.
yeah.
Anyway, so the number on the car, you know, a lot of times when I was a young man, you know, follow these racers, they had their own number, you know.
Yeah.
But I was looking at photos and it didn't seem to be that there was a...
Those days we ran the number that we earned the year before. If you ran fifth in points the year before, that was your number for the following year, number 5.
Okay.
If you were first in one year, the next year was number 1. And they got away from that now. They get more used to the driver by knowing by the number.
Yeah.
So they assign them numbers and
You stick with it their whole
stick
career.
with it. And then when you see the number, you know the driver. But with us, it was hard to tell. You had to be a follower to know that number 5 was Willie Gaden this year because he was 5 last year. And 10 or 11 or whatever he ended up with. So that's how the numbers changed every year. And by luck, I had 1 year. And then 1 year I was number 1, the next year I was number 3. The number of the year was number 3. Miles was number 1, Johnson was number 2, and I was number 3. So the mouse, the cat was chasing the mouse, the dog was chasing the cat.
That's the story that Wade was telling me about. Yeah.
Just happened the whole year that way. All the 3 cars when you get on the track, you know, the mouse, the cat, and the dog. Yeah, it's all advertising gimmicks. It's neat.
Well, it makes it for fun.
Created fun, created
So-
interest in the crowd.
How was that competition? Was it
It was great. It was great. Oh God.
pretty good natured? No fist
Oh yeah.
fights or
You'd
nothing?
come in and argue with a guy, and then go to the beer stand and have a beer.
All was good.
Yeah. It was competitive.
So Slinger would probably be the first track in the circuit then. That's where it kind of started?
What's that?
At Slinger's where it started.
That's where it started. Yeah.
So then these other
and
towns...
Cedarburg built in, and then Hills Corners started. I think a year or so later that they built the track at Hills Corners because they had a problem with Milwaukee County Fairgrounds because there was only a mile track and that was too long for us. So at that State Fair grounds.
The Milwaukee Mile still,
Yeah.
same
So
thing.
then this guy got this land out here in Franklin and he got permit to build a track there.
Okay. It's still there today.
No, it's a Menard store now, I believe.
Oh.
I think the only thing that's there of the track is an old elm tree that was right up at Grandstand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other towns followed suit. So
Yeah,
it was
and then-
Columbus and Beaver
Yeah.
Dam.
Columbus was an old running track too. Columbus ran race cars a long time too. I don't remember when they started. But they always ran on Sunday night. And Slinger ran Sunday night. So anytime we got to Columbus, the Slinger rained out early.
Okay.
And Slinger was dirt and Columbus was pavement. So you had to have a little time to change the car over. So you had to know it was going to rain out already at noon, or you couldn't get the car set up for Columbus. You had to stay home.
Okay.
You get beat anyway.
So what was the setup? Like different tires and stuff?
Different tires, different weight adjustments, and yeah, you don't slide on pavement. You slide a lot on dirt.
Yeah.
Once you slide on pavement, you're gone. And
Well, talking about the dirt, you know, and the clay tracks, I met Dave last week and he was telling me a little bit about the preparation of these tracks and all the science in that, you know. And,
Yeah.
A little too dry, a little too wet, you know.
it's hard to keep a track in this area race-worthy all night because it gets so dry at night, humidity goes down, and then the track dries out, and it gets next thing to pavement. And the qualifying times are so good because the track is really heavy.
Nice and sticky.
Sticky, you can really get going. And when it gets slippery, you gotta pussyfoot around the track, and it's just something that happens here in this climate.
So in those early years, a quarter-mile flat, what kind of speeds would you guys run at?
God, I don't know, 16 seconds in a quarter mile. They turned that down a half mile.
What would that convert to in miles per hour? Just a guess.
60, 58, 60, 62 miles an hour.
It's still pretty quick going.
Yeah, a short track. And with regular tires, we ran regular car tires. Then we expanded, we put race tires on. And all those things, then I can't remember all that crap that went on.
So what kind of safety equipment did you have?
Yeah, whatever you're born with.
Pay attention and don't get hit.
Yeah, pay attention, yeah. It kept building up. We used to run around in t-shirts, and guys would get banged up, then you had to wear a long sleeve shirt, and then you had to soak them in something so they were a little fireproofed. And we used to just run, it's just like coming around the grandstand, go out and drive a car around the racetrack. And just one thing led to another, and we didn't even have to wear a helmet.
I was just going to say, put a bucket on and go.
Leather cap on, yeah.
Wow.
keep all the stuff together.
So then with that chronology, okay, so you're just taking cars right out of the junkyard and run them, and then the modifieds
Yeah,
became
started
popular, like when?
It was so gradual. I don't know, probably. Well, I came back from the service in '53, and then we were able to cut the bodies down. So from then on, probably about '60 is when the big changes were. Yeah, where they really modified the dickens out of them.
Yeah, and then you get a little more science going on, different
narrower
tire
body,
setups.
narrower car, and weight adjustments, and more power, and different gear ratios, different gear transfers, power transfers, everything from regular transmissions to truck ends to gearbox, what they call a gearbox now, to change gear ratios right in a little area right by the differential.
Uh-huh.
And we used to have to keep a transmission in so it would stay, so you didn't have that much of an advantage. Somebody could
I
figure
don't
out.
understand what you mean. I don't know anything about this really, so you gotta help me.
Transmission is a fixed gear ratio. And with a quick change, you could change the gear ratio. So sometimes when the track gets real black and real slippery, you don't want a real low gear ratio,
Okay.
something that pulls better. And with a regular transmission, you can't change that, so you couldn't gain that advantage if you use your head. But
Like
eventually,
paying attention, right?
yeah, eventually it got to be, you had to let them go. You actually ended up, the other tracks would do it. If you wanted to run there, you had to do it, or you couldn't run, and you couldn't just run one track. So there was a time when we couldn't run Cedarburg if we ran Slinger. They were fighting one another.
Oh.
And Cedarburg ran Wednesday nights and Slinger Sunday nights.
So what was there, did you have to qualify to be able to enter? Did you have to join the club? Did you have to
Yeah, you had to join
pay
the
a
association.
fee?
You had to pay the train association. The Slinger started what they call the Central Wisconsin Stock Car Racing Association.
Okay.
And Cedarburg had, I think, Milwaukee Stock Car Racing then already. And they were battling one another. We were better than you, and finally Wisconsin Slinger went out of Central Wisconsin, folded up, and we all joined Milwaukee Stock Car about, I think it was in, God, I don't know. I don't remember. A long time ago.
Oh, yeah. So then you would race for, like I see in one place, you race for, what do they call it? Where's John called? You race for respect. You won respect.
Well,
Was there trophies and money involved with that as well?
We got at that time, we got 40% of the gate went to the racer's purse. So if the gate was $5,000, 40% would be $2,000 purse for the racers.
And they pay how many
Then they
spots?
paid, well, pretty all of them. Paid 10% to win 100. We had a 1,000-point system.
Okay.
And 100 points to win a race, feature, and 25 points for a fast time, and 40 points for fast time, 25 for a heat race. And that would be equivalent to 10%, or 4%, or 2.5%. And then it tapered down.
Okay, and then those are the same points they would accumulate over the course of the season?
Well, then they had championship points besides that. It was a complicated situation for the spectator, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
But something that is set up the money is just like now. The money, even now, I see like Matt Kenseth is about 11th in points, but he's about 4th in money winnings because he wins races where there's more money in, and the points don't count as much there. So that's the way it was there. That's why they separated, made a point system and a money system.
Oh, okay. So I found this as an old, in one of John's newsletters, it's an old newspaper clipping about Johnson Fassbender head field for a 100-speed finale. And they talk about, the points that each of you two guys had, and it was, oh geez, this is awfully small and hard to read. But anyway, that you two were the only ones that had a chance.
That must have been in 67 and 68.
Looks like 60, I can't tell if it's 63 or 68.
It was 63. And sometime there's when Miles got hurt, and he was running then. He smashed up and got hurt and didn't finish the year out.
Yeah, because this was,
That could have
Billy
been.
Johnson, Fuzzy Fassbender.
Yeah. 'Cause otherwise Miles would be in there, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
If there was any time Miles was in a race, he was in there worthwhile. The only times if something really broke bad.
Yeah, here it is. Johnson has 5,685 points to Fassbender's 5,430. No other driver has a chance at the title. They don't really beat around the bush. They just get right to it.
Right?
It's pretty comical.
Yeah, well then here at Beaver Dam, the quarter-mile track over here,
I was up
Raceway
on the
Park,
hill.
they call it, I guess, had closed up for a couple of years. And the fair board had this track was here for horse racing many years. And they thought that, and they had asked me, and I said, there's a lot of racing enthusiasts in the Beaver Dam, Fond du Lac, Columbus area, and a lot of fans and a lot of cars. So why did they set up this for car racing? So they called me to come up because I had to give them some advice as to how to start cars and how to run the time trials and what speed races to run and so on. And that was about all I had to do with it. And with the experience I had in racing, I had some pivots to them now and then. But they took care of it pretty well themselves. They had a pretty good group in the fair board at that time. And they did a pretty good job of getting this going and really did a wonderful job of getting the track in shape. Getting it all ready for racing. It was really an old horse track, and it was potholes and
Very different.
no fences, and it was just. But they made a nice racetrack, nice competitive course out of it now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So you helped them get that set up then?
And yeah, because of those on the fair board, hardly any of them ever had anything to do with racing. And they asked me if I would help them set up for how to set up races where they run 10, 15, 20 cars in a race, which ones, and also how to pay them off. I give them an idea what we were doing, and they could work out their own payoff, and then how they wanted to set up their purse. If they wanted to guarantee a purse, or if they wanted to take a percentage of the gate. It started out kind of slow here, so a percentage of the gate was very little. In order to get cars here, they had to put up money. In order to put up money, they had to
Had to have some
put up money.
sponsors. Or you needed some
But it
dough.
paid off in the end because they really had some nice crowds. In fact, they had to build a larger grandstand because of the crowds that were coming
Yeah.
in. Yeah,
Excellent.
really turned into quite
And
a.
that's where we kind of find ourselves today,
Yeah,
where Peggy,
circle.
you were involved
Yeah.
in trying to rekindle
Absolutely.
yeah.
the race.
Absolutely.
Get it going
Sequences.
again. Yeah, they
Yeah.
slowed up here for a while. Yeah.
We did, yeah. It hasn't had racing.
Well,
here
the other
since-
track got going, and
Yeah, dwindled
your
down.
fair board was in a change of board too.
Transition.
And transition, yeah, and it takes a lot of interest to do this, I'll tell you.
does. Oh, you're not gonna tell me and all the work. I think it's been 11 years since there's been, 11 or 12 years since we've had
Is that
weekly
right?
racing here. IRA has raced here. They've
Oh,
had
yeah,
specials
yeah,
here for the
specials, yeah.
summer, but
So
this
you're
is
playing-
their first full season.
Every week.
We have 12 races because we have the fair that goes on here. We have some things that are cut and dried here
Cut
that
and
we
dried,
can't
yeah.
race,
Yeah.
which is
Forget
fine.
about it. Yeah.
But 12 races that's a full season for us, so.
Yeah,
And I sit here listening to you, which I could sit here all day and listen to you. And it's funny because like you talk about the wiener dog. Well, when
Yeah.
your son raced and I was involved, he had a little wiener dog he had on.
Yeah.
His race cars were purple. You hear Falby, your Falby, his great grandson raced with us last
Yeah.
week, Aaron Falby.
This just happened by accident.
This is purple. I was thinking that when I was sitting here. So it's been so fun for me listening to you because I remember the Lance era, which is his son.
Yeah,
And so many of the things are kind of the same. It was very
Yeah.
cool. But this track for us, and I have friends that laugh at me when we drive past. I'm like, there's my racetrack. And they laugh at me, and I said, but I could bring 500 other people here that'll say the same. This is my track.
Yeah.
Because that's how we believe with this track. It's so family
Yeah.
and
The whole
fun
track-
orientated that this is all of our track.
yeah, it is really.
Might be the Dodge
I
County
think
Fairgrounds, but it's our
that's
track.
what made it so, well, the Dodge County Fairgrounds, as a rule, most fairgrounds are owned by the county. And the county promotes racing, it promotes whatever goes on there. This is a separate association.
Right.
And they do the fair for the county. They get paid from the county for providing fairgrounds. And of course, then they can do whatever they want the rest of the year and not wait for some county people to
Make up
say
their
whether
mind.
you can do anything or not. So
Sure.
that's where this is a little unique. I think there are only 2 or 3 of these in the state that are actual fair associations.
Yeah, I was visiting with Dave about that, and he mentioned that as well. So what was your favorite car?
I don't know.
Do you
I
have
like-
the
I
one
like
that just,
the Mustang.
the Mustang?
I like that Mustang. In fact, I bought that from Wally.
Yeah.
He had gotten ill then, and I bought it from him and kept it. Then did I build a? No, he built a. What kind of? I built something up anyway, and sold it to a guy in Michigan. And Wally had put some special brakes on it, and I wanted to put them in my car a couple years later. I called the guy in Michigan, find out he sold it to a junkyard. It was from. He
Squashed it?
compressed it into a
And
scrap pile.
Wally has been such a supporter of this
Yeah,
track.
he was
out here
really,
for-
yeah.
Even past his era. just continued on, always supporting out at this track.
Yeah, he was race oriented. There was no
Yes,
question about it.
absolutely.
When Wally was building the cars for you, was he running the salvage yard here?
No, that was before that. He was living over on Walnut Street. by his
So he had a
mother.
shop right out of his home, or was he
Yeah, right in the garage,
building
in
his
the
garage?
backyard. Yeah, there's a three-car garage in the backyard by his mother's house.
Somebody said that the Wally was he was a Ford guy, huh? He liked doing Fords?
Well, he had Chevrolet motors all the time.
Yeah, so,
Wade is a Ford guy.
yeah.
Wally was a little Chevrolet. Then he bought when he got sick and I bought his car from him, then he was out for a couple of years. Then he got well again and he built a race car. In fact, that's the one Wade has got. And he put a Ford motor in it and he asked me to drive it. And it was a little, what they call a 289 cubic inch engine.
Yeah.
Chevrolet was running a 358 cubic inch at that time, which is considerably more power, supposedly. But this doggone little Ford, I want to drive that. I got in, holy cow, I snapped my neck out. What the heck got in here?
Got some guts, huh?
And it really went and got it worked good. He had built it lighter, he had set it up to different, really worked good. So that's when he got the Ford bug. And then he got sick again and he sold it to Wade. And time ran out on him.
Yeah, it's a shame.
But yeah, he was Chevrolet, always General Motors, Chevrolet back in the 60s. All Chevrolet. Then when he built that Ford, I don't know what tuned him into Ford, but he sure got a good deal out of it. In fact, I think Wade's got a big 302 in it now, or some bigger engine in. But it really surprised me when I got into that Ford. I tell you, I had been driving the Chevys, and we had made bigger ones than 350s even. And holy cow, what has he got in here? It worked, and I ran good with it.
Yeah. So those things would, and 3-speed transmissions, what do they do? What, you got
Well,
manual
then we
shift on all these things?
went to a trucker end, and then they made a gear ratio changer.
That's
that
what you were
put in
talking
that
about
trucker
earlier,
end.
but how do you just
But
got to
you still
manually
had-
shift these things?
Yeah, now they just got to in and out of the box. Now they just got to put it in gear, put it out of gear. It's just it all clicks.
Bang, just go.
Goes in. We had a transmission in there, but you only run second gear. Then we could run high. Second gear would go haywire in these cars because the gear ratio inside the transmission, they weren't made for all that horsepower. So then we went to the rear end. We could change rear end to gear ratio, and we could run in third gear, which was straight through. Then the motor transmission fast. There was a lot of races were lost before we went to that. That's how the quick change got involved, is because so many people were losing races because the transmissions were breaking.
Tear them apart.
And that kind of swayed the people into allowing it in the rule book. And from there it just went. Then you could put more power in because you could, nothing would break. They put more power in and some would break. You put some else in and it would
Just like anything else.
It was just one
Give
thing
a
away
moose a
from
muffin, you know?
migrate it, yeah.
So it's true.
It was
just
fun.
Just an evolution, you know?
Yeah, I finally got to the point where I couldn't afford it. And my family became quite, they were all the kids went along to the races. In fact, I bought a motor. I was going to buy, the kids always went along, and then on the way home, we'd stop and have a beer or two, several beers. And the kids,
It's Wisconsin, you know?
yeah,
That's good.
and the kids were little then. Well, they couldn't sleep in the car or the truck. So I was going to buy a slide-in camper so the kids would have a bed to sleep in while we celebrated after racing. Well, I bought a motorhome instead. It was cheaper than a truck and a camper.
Okay.
So I bought a motorhome in 73, was that? Well, I think in 72, I bought a 72 Winnebago motorhome in 1973. And that was so the kids would have a place to sleep. Well, then I bought a bus, a converted bus, so the kids would be comfortable then. And they had full beds and they were comfortable.
So the whole family would travel the circuit?
The whole family.
Race nights, yeah.
She had them all in the grandstand.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she, by the way, Judy is over here. She's with us here in the garage.
Over
So.
there.
She did a wonderful job of taking care of them, but by then, Lance was born in what, 76, huh? And I,
Five children?
5 children, 2 boys and 2 girls.
And you had a full-time business in Rubicon.
Yeah, I had a full-time
And you
job.
ran these cars 6 days a week.
6 days a week, yeah.
And
I don't know how I do that. I
so,
guess
so
that's
how does that, how do you make that work? Now,
I'm having trouble now, I guess.
it's having a strong partner.
Oh yeah, she took care. She sat in the grandstand with 5 children, I'll tell you. Well, at the time the 5th one was there, the first one was old enough to help a little bit. Well, I'll tell you, she sit in the grandstand with 5 little ones and try to keep them under control.
Keep track of them.
Well, having the motorhome, I would get to the track early and I could park up at Beaver Dam. I could park up on the hill, and a lot of tracks I could park where she could leave the kids right in the camper,
Yeah, bird's eye
and
view.
then they could go to bed. And after a while, their interest got so strong that they wouldn't stay in the camper. They had to be out, see what Daddy's doing.
Okay, we're here with Peggy and Judy and Fuzzy, talking about stock car racing, the history, and Beaver Dam, and the circuit around here, and they require no more introduction than that. We left off a little bit ago talking about gear ratios and all of the science that go into making these things go. But then the rest of it is with the family connection as well. Okay, Judy and Fuzzy, 5 children. On the race circuit, the motor home, 6 days a week, stitching it and holding it all together.
Yes. Running the business the
You
next
have my-
day.
And
How do you do that?
The most important thing is all 5 children are something to be proud of. We have our children.
Good kids.
One is a doctor, a chiropractor doctor, and the other one's a garbage man. And the 5 in between we're fun full spectrum, and they're very proud. Family proud of all this background. I'll tell you, she did a good job.
There you go.
She's the only one who can
I
tell
guess
us.
what mothers are for.
Oh yeah, but it's hard work. It's not,
It was.
And I said to her, I said, you loved racing, right? She goes, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't love racing, because you have to learn to
Cook
do
the
that.
meals in the motor home, going down from home to the next track. And
Oh my
But you
gosh.
talk about this Beaver Dam racetrack. You've got your arms around it,
Yeah, absolutely.
like you're the mother here.
You're
So
right.
you've now taken custody of this.
You're
This
right.
is my racetrack.
It's my racetrack. I
Tell
was
us a little
saying.
bit more about this my racetrack.
And I said this before. I said my friends laugh at me. I said this is my track, but I could bring 500 other people out here that would say the exact same thing about this track. This is my track, because there's so much heart and soul in this track and history in this track. I think, and it was always so family orientated being out at this track, and we all just love it so much, and so that's why we decided to start it up again. And
I think that's
racing.
because no big shot with a pocket full of money came out and did it.
And it stayed like this it is now. You're probably right.
So the grassroots, we just say, I'm going to start. I want to have a race car.
Right.
That's all there is to it. We just go and get a car, and off we go.
You get the money from somewhere eventually, but
Figure it out. Eh?
when there's a group together, you didn't. I guess like
It didn't cost much then.
Yeah, it was
in the big car racing, it's millions of dollars are involved. Even here, they're getting to be hundreds of thousands.
getting more and more, correct. But yeah, to touch base on when she said back in the day women wasn't allowed in the pits, that just floors me. That just, I had no idea. I said that,
Yeah, the pits when there no one under 21 or no ladies
no ladies.
were allowed in the pits, but we could drink beer in the pits. Then they reversed that. They had people under 21 and the ladies
Took the beer
were not allowed
away.
any beer in the pits.
You're right.
I don't know which was better, but there's a lot of false courage from the beer, I'll tell you that.
And I wish I would have been around to watch you race. I got to see your son's race. So
Yeah.
for me, that's kind of neat, but
Yeah,
I didn't
okay.
get to see you race.
Well, there's
so.
lots of people in town who have fond memories.
Yeah.
Like Wade, for instance. When I was talking with him, he said every Tuesday night, his dad would be golfing. He'd finish golfing, and then Wade and Timmy would be standing on the side of the road waiting for Dad to come by. He says, the car doors are, and then they get open yet. Boom, piled in, out to the racetrack every single week.
Yeah,
And he could name every name, and he was talking about all the detail of it.
yeah.
Sure.
So that's,
The good old days.
and the fondness of it. You talk about the community and people.
These are going to be good old days for somebody sometime too, though, so.
But you got to keep it alive, or it will be forgotten history.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening now. You're going to race
Yes.
every single, you're going to 12 races
12 races.
during the
this year.
season. So
Yes.
the season is June until
Yes.
frost comes
Yeah, Labor Day.
almost.
Labor Day.
Yeah.
Roughly Labor Day. So yeah, we got 12 things planned, 12 nights. We got huge support. We got a lot of support from the community for this.
Yeah.
And we started this
That's
up
great.
again.
Sweet.
So we did last September 7th. We had our first race, and it was phenomenal. Phenomenal sales.
Fill the stands?
Everything. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We couldn't believe the line of cars and people. And we were just like, okay, this is a good thing. It's time.
Yeah.
It's time to bring racing back here. So, and the community has supported us totally behind this.
So what kind of cars are going to run?
We have the IMCA Modifieds, IMCA Sport Mods, Street Stocks, Grand Nationals, and we come back with the late models we're bringing. So we start our own late model division, so we'll see how that goes. So dirt late models out here. It was fun to watch them last week.
That'll be toward the end of the season?
Yeah.
The late models come in?
They're every week. Every week we have late models here. Yeah, so that was exciting. So I've extended to him. Anytime you want to come, you
was
get
just
free
gonna say,
admission.
you're coming down
hopefully,
there?
hopefully my board okays this too. But I said you get in free anytime you want,
Are
Fuzzy,
you
all
going to get
summer.
them a good seat?
Yes, you betcha.
If you had the pick of the seat on where, you could sit anywhere,
I don't know, there really isn't a bad seat in the house.
where would you sit?
I think right across the start-finish line is the most, you like to see what.
Down low or up?
Up a little higher, I should sit, yeah.
I
Otherwise
was-
you get all the mud in your face.
I was out walking around a little bit before you got here,
Yeah.
and I went up into the, into the press box, and I'm looking down,
Yeah.
bird's eye view and stuff.
Yeah, it's-
Yeah, it would be fun, yeah.
But the whole grandstand is situated pretty well, it's pretty well oriented to the
You're
I
track.
can see it,
Yeah.
See it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when we started, there wasn't even a press box up there. My wife was helping the announcer up there. You just had a box on the few benches. Then we had to build a press box up there because it just gets too hard to work with the people,
Yeah.
with them right with you. At least you had a little bit of a serious
Well, we met
privacy.
Norm earlier, Norm Gray,
Yeah.
or AKA Norm Klug.
Yeah,
And the two of you used to do the scoring?
I did. Yeah.
You did the announcing.
What was involved in the
Oh,
scoring?
no, yeah, pardon?
What was involved, what's involved in the scoring?
Watch every car that goes around and every lap right down where he is finished, the number of the car, every lap.
And you
Because
didn't have
when
any
they
automation,
no, I had this and these.
No,
And yes,
no finish line cameras, all that sort of stuff?
nothing.
When there was a
And
wreck,
That's
you had to go
what,
back and see who was running where, because when the wreck was, cars were all tangled up, so you had to go back a lap.
for restart.
Who
Yeah.
was
Get
it?
them back where they were.
Yeah,
And
And
that's
you,
where I come in, yeah.
Ooh.
yeah.
It's a lot. Nowadays,
It's a lot of
it's
responsibility.
Yeah,
computerized.
it got harder as they start lapping because you had to know how many cars they lapped. You had to get them in that, whether they're running first or fifth or whatever. Being
was your
You
tool?
were
lapped.
the only one out there doing that?
To start with,
Oh,
yes.
my goodness.
After a while, we had one calling and one rating,
Yeah.
Yeah.
when Snort helped.
No, first the kids, Lana and Kelly helped.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was really a
One
family
would
affair.
call the number as the car came across, like 7, 12,
Yeah.
14,
just
and
write it
write it down. And then you could go back and see when 7 didn't show up, you missed a lap there. Yeah,
It
5.
was,
You gotta pay attention.
Kept you on the
Back to
ball.
paying attention, eh?
Yeah, you gotta pay
Yeah.
attention. Yeah, otherwise you got nothing but argument after a while.
Oh, yeah, bet.
I was there. No, you weren't.
I've sat in on many of them arguments out here.
yeah.
It's all good fun.
It is. It is at the end of the night. You bet.
A
Yeah.
gentleman this morning handed his business card to Eric and said that he should say, "Go Crampa, go! Thanks for all the thrills those years ago." Joe, can you guess who that is?
Joe.
Go Grandpa Joe. Go Grandpa, go! Thanks for all the thrills those years ago.
Good grief, later.
Joe?
Joe Kesmerick. Says, say hi to Fuzzy.
Me, don't ring a bell. Joe Kesmerick.
There's been a lot of people here in Beaver Dam come up there and say, boy, sure nice to know you.
He certainly knew you, Fuzzy.
Kasmarek. I remember that name, but, Kasmarek? But I never got to know many people in Beaver Dam, because the only day I came up to work with Wally, or went up to see her out of Fox Lake when she lived on the hotel after Road. Otherwise, I didn't have socialized a heck of a lot in Beaver Dam. So consequently, I didn't know a lot of the people, and when you meet them on the grandstand, they're all either you dummy, you pulled something wrong, or you did the best thing in the world.
He's a goat or the hero, right?
Things still don't change in that aspect either.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
If you had to do it all over again, would you do
Very
it any
same-
different?
Very same thing. Do it all over. Very same thing. Yeah, I enjoyed every bit of it. I enjoyed it. There were times I was very frustrated, but get back home and get up the next morning, and God, that was fun.
So cool.
Were you guys married when you started that first car?
No, married to another woman. We got married in '66.
She was scorned for you.
Yeah.
No, I didn't mean
Yeah.
that. We'll cut that part.
I have no problem with it.